When you were a child, it was the most natural thing in the world when you would wake up at night and be scared or worried or thirsty or all the different things that kids want and need, especially at night, for you to cry out and ask your mom or your dad to come and help you. In fact, if you hadn't done something like that, or if your kids had not done or don't do something like that, it would be strange. You'd sort of wonder, what's wrong? Why won't you cry out? I can help you. I can bring you a drink, or I can change your diaper, or whatever you need. Why don't you ask? What's the matter? One of the worst things about getting older is that you begin to ask less often for help, even when you do need it. And I'm not just speaking of your earthly parents or your grandparents or anybody else that might have come to help you when you were 3 or 4, but of your Heavenly Father. As you get older, you become more self-reliant, and that's good in a way. We want that for our kids. We don't want them to be totally dependent for everything on us forever. We want them to grow up and lead productive lives, but there's something sad about it at the same time, that they don't quite need us like they used to. So they also don't have quite the same joy or excitement when they do see us that they used to. It's that process of change over time, kind of nice, but also a little bit sad, that God's people also go through over time. They think that somehow they are now all grown up and don't need to ask. Something Isaiah can show you today, though, is that adults, we get better not just at tying our own shoes and driving ourselves places, we also get better at lying to ourselves. Because it's not just self-reliance or ability that drives the fact that we don't cry out and we don't ask. It's also a very adult, but also a very childlike emotion, and that's called fear. You can hear it several times in that reading from Isaiah, and you can hear it in the father's voice when he asks for help for his little girl. You can hear the fear. But you know as well as I do that fear doesn't always, certainly not in adults, lead to crying out for help. It could lead, first of all, to forgetting. You forget a lot of things that could lead to your being helped, or could cause you to just put fear away before it grows. In Isaiah, what God's people have forgotten is that he stretched out the heavens, and he made the whole earth. So they're in exile, they're far away from where they want to be. They could cry out for help about that, but they don't. Because they've forgotten what he's able to do. They've put that all behind them. They've forgotten that he made everything long ago. And in the Bible, you always want to remember that unlike us, where we kind of look forward to the future and hope it's going to be better, in the Bible they look back to the past and then think about God based on what he's already done, so of course he'll do it for me. If he made everything in the beginning, can he not take care of everything now today? Yes. If he stretched out the heavens and laid the foundations of the earth and put all the water away so that there was land for Adam and Eve to dwell on, can he not do something about my life next week? Yes. Of course. But we forgot. So he reminds us today that he who made the heavens and the earth can surely care for your life. He who made the dry land to appear, he can surely take care of what it is that you brought on your heart today. Of course. Yes, he can. But we forgot. And there's something sad about that, isn't it? God's people then forgot, and there's something strange about that. What would it be like to be a little kid and you cry out for mom or dad and just nobody ever came? Not ever. You feel like you're an orphan in the world. So of course, if you cried out long enough and nobody ever came, I guess you'd stop crying out. You stop asking. Fear would drive the fact that you don't pray. But you are God's children now. So you can be, in your prayers, you can be fearless. You don't need to worry. You can hear it at the very beginning of the reading. In fact, before the prophet tells you the message from the Lord, that he made everything and is surely caring for you now, you hear the prophet's voice praying. And I like it because it's honest. He's not acting like he knows everything about what God's going to do. Of course he doesn't. Not even a prophet does, let alone you or me. But he's honest that he wants God to do more than it seems he's doing. He wants him to do mighty things and big things. So it's like a little kid going into his parents' room and shaking his dad awake and saying, "Wake up, wake up. I want you to come get the monster out from under my bed. I want you to give me a drink. I want you to take away both my stupid fears and my justified fears. Wake up." And there's a beautiful honesty in that. He knows what he needs, and he's asking his dad to give it. You can be fearless when you're talking to the Father. He has heard it all before. You're not going to tell him something he's never heard. You're not going to confess something to him that he has never before forgiven in someone else. You're not going to bring a need to him that he has never before answered. Probably for you, if not someone else. He knows how to do it, and he can do it. Why don't you reach out and wake him up? Just ask for what you need. It's what happens with this lady who, in every gospel where this story occurs, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, she kind of interrupts the story. It's supposed to just be a really touching story about a dad coming to Jesus, and he's got everything in life except his child's health, and you know, maybe from experience, that if you had everything in life except your child's health, that would be all you would think about. So he comes to Jesus, and he's going to ask in a very beautiful and honest way for what he needs for his life, because he has everything, but at the same time he kind of has nothing. It doesn't mean anything as long as she's sick. And she's so far along that they're outside the house. That's what the flute players are for. That's not a marching band. They're there for a funeral. So everybody's ready to bury her, and he's there. Did you ever think about the time span here? They're ready to do the funeral, and he's with Jesus saying, "Can you come help?" So he's obviously turned to everybody else already. And this poor lady who has had all of this stuff going on for 12 years, again, somebody where you could have everything else you wanted. We don't know whether she was rich or poor, or her life had gone well or not gone well, or her kids all had nice families and nice jobs, or not. We don't know, because it kind of doesn't matter, right? Because sometimes you need things desperately, like a little kid does in the night, and anything else that you have or need doesn't matter. And she always interrupts this story in each gospel, and she comes in, and we hear her thoughts. Really unusual in the Bible that we get to hear somebody's thinking before they do something. It's helpful to us because we're always thinking about things before we do them, and we can hear her thinking that if I just touch the hem of his garment, if I just reach out, it doesn't have to be a lot. Because he has all power, and he made all things, but I don't need all of that power right now. And I don't need all of those things right now, and I'm not asking the world. Just like if my daughter wakes up and wants a drink, she's not asking for me to sign the deed for the house over to her right then and there at 2 a.m. She just wants a drink. So we're not asking, in the whole scheme of things, for a lot. You just need to know this, that he who made all things and can do and does all things well has everything that you need if you would only just ask. And she might even be interrupting this beautiful story that has its own beautiful ending, but she steps right into the middle of it thinking, if I just, and she just goes ahead and asks. Now, did you notice that no matter how old she is, and we don't know, she's been suffering for 12 years, she could be 52 or 68 or 22. Did you notice what he calls her? She's not woman, she's not Samaritan, whatever she is. He says to her, in answer to her prayer, "Take heart, daughter. Take heart. You who reached out, you needed something that in the whole scheme of things is pretty small. Right now, you don't have to be totally self-reliant. Right now, you don't have to have it all figured out. Right now, you don't have to have a good explanation for why you're suffering the way that you have been. Take heart, daughter. You who reached out, you who prayed one prayer that didn't sound real good, it wasn't as polished as when the pastor prayed when he came to your hospital room. That's okay, he does it for a living. Take heart. You didn't quite have the words, there was a lot going on. Take heart. Take heart, son. Take heart, daughter. You don't have to be right now, and you never are, anything more than a son or daughter. Remember what happened of old. You weren't baptized as God's self-reliant, high-earning adult. And you're not going to die as God's high-earning, self-reliant adult. You will be named in your death as you were in your baptism, as you are today, God's son or God's daughter. And that's really all you need. Because no matter how old you get, or how much you know, or how much you've earned, or how much you've experienced and enjoyed, the end is the same for all. And maybe it will be that at your death, they will do about the same thing when the message is announced that they did for this little girl. Because somebody's going to say, the pastor should definitely say, that this son or daughter of God, this person is going to rise. He's just asleep. New Testament refers to death this way all over the place as falling asleep in Jesus. This daughter of God, she is sleeping. That's all. That's all. And there's going to be a time when she will not have to cry out, but the Father will announce, and the trumpets will sound, and the Son will come again, and she who is sleeping will wake. And he who was resting in his grave will be alive again. And maybe the world will laugh at it just like they did for that little girl when they had all the stuff ready and the hearse was sitting outside the house. Maybe they'll laugh. It doesn't matter. They were wrong then. They'll be wrong at the last. And he'll be right. And even when you're not able to cry out, when you are sleeping and resting in him, he will still come for you. So you can be now and then fearless. Go ahead and ask. Go ahead and cry out. Go ahead and say what you need and rely on this, that he will surely come and he will answer. And even if you can't cry out, he's going to be there just the same. To him now and then, at the last day, when he comes again, is all glory, now and forever. Amen.